The adrenaline of surviving a nightmare has a strange way of fading, leaving behind a cold, hollow silence that is often more terrifying than the danger itself. After the chaos on Spoon Island finally subsided, Carly Spencer returned to the mainland, her mind racing with 1,000 unanswered questions. The rescue mission had been a brutal, high stakes gamble, but Jocelyn Jacks was finally safe. Ross Cullum's reign of terror had been violently halted, and the immediate threat seemed to be neutralized. Yet, as the dust settled and the authorities took control of the narrative, a new kind of darkness began to creep into the edges of Carly's reality. It wasn't the loud, explosive danger of a gunfight or a hostage situation. It was the quiet, calculating presence of the WSB, personified by the enigmatic director known only as Z. Carly is a woman who has spent her entire life reading the room, anticipating threats, and protecting her family at all costs. So, when she finally had a moment to breathe, her first instinct was to demand answers about the man who had risked everything to help set this rescue in motion, Valentine Cassadine. Something about that moment stayed with me. When Carly looked Z in the eye and demanded to know Valentine's exact whereabouts and status, the response she received was not a denial, nor was it a confirmation. It was a masterclass in evasion. Z offered nothing but silence, followed by vague, carefully constructed sentences that danced around the truth without ever touching it. He spoke of ongoing operations, of classified intelligence, of matters that were simply above Carly's clearance level. I couldn't stop thinking about it. For a man who had just overseen the dismantling of a massive rogue operation, Z was entirely too calm, entirely too guarded. His refusal to give Carly a straight answer wasn't just standard bureaucratic red tape. It felt intentional, like a heavy curtain being drawn over a stage while the actors were still performing in the dark. At first, it didn't seem important. In the immediate aftermath of such trauma, one could easily excuse Z's evasiveness as the necessary caution of a high-ranking intelligence officer handling the fallout of a compromised agency. But Carly Spencer does not do well with closed doors, especially when the lives of the people she cares about are trapped on the other side. She quickly realized that Z was deliberately hiding the truth about Valentine. The more she pushed, the more he retreated into the shadows of WSB protocol. It became abundantly clear to Carly that there was something incredibly serious, something deeply sinister, unfolding behind the scenes of the Bureau. And Z wasn't just a bystander in this cover-up, he was the architect of it. Following the thread of this realization, Carly did what she always does when she is backed into a corner. She went on the offensive. She refused to let Z walk away with his secrets intact. She cornered him, unleashing a barrage of pointed, relentless questions. Carly's history with the WSB is long and fraught with pain. She knows better than anyone that the Bureau is not the shining beacon of international justice it pretends to be. She has seen the corruption firsthand. She has watched as the WSB allowed monsters like Caesar Phazon to operate under their radar, and she has just survived the wrath of Ross Cullum, a high-ranking director who was secretly a double agent working with Jens Sidwell. The more I think about it, the more I realize how profound Carly's indictment of the WSB truly was in that moment. She looked at Z and stripped away the illusion of his authority. She told him point blank that the WSB had long ago lost its reputation as a legitimate law enforcement agency. To Carly, the Bureau is nothing more than a breeding ground for traitors, a revolving door of agents from the old guard to the current generation who have played both sides, acting as double agents and betraying the very organization they swore to protect. Because of this deeply ingrained history of corruption, Carly declared that she had absolutely no reason to believe that Z was any different. In her eyes, Z was just the latest in a long line of manipulators, a man entirely capable of harboring a dark, hidden agenda just like his predecessors. This is where the story takes a fascinating turn. When faced with this blistering accusation, Z did not flinch. He didn't offer a defensive rant or try to justify the sins of the past. Instead, he leaned into Carly's anger. He didn't shy away from the ugly truth about the WSB's history. He openly acknowledged the rot that had infected the agency for years. But his response was what truly shifted the dynamic of their confrontation. Z stated, with a chilling level of conviction, that his ultimate goal was to purge the WSB, He claimed he was on a crusade to cleanse the organization, to ruthlessly eliminate all the corrupt elements, the traitors, and the double agents who had tarnished the Bureau's legacy for decades. Maybe there's another layer here. Z's vision for the future of the WSB sounds noble on the surface, but the mechanics of his plan are what should make our blood run cold. According to Z, the only way the WSB can reclaim its honor and effectiveness is if it is rebuilt from the ground up by a completely new generation of agents. He envisions a fresh roster of loyal, uncorrupted operatives who are ready to execute absolute justice without the baggage of the past. And this, he revealed, is exactly why he is so fiercely determined to keep Jocelyn Jax within the ranks of the WSB. He doesn't just see Jocelyn as a capable recruit. He truly believes she is the future of the organization. He looks at her raw talent, her survival instincts, and her unwavering moral compass, and he sees the perfect foundation for his new empire of intelligence. But Karli is not a woman who is easily swayed by grand speeches about justice and reform. She sees the shadow beneath the story. She knows that in the world of espionage, justice is often just a convenient shield used to justify the unjustifiable. She firmly believes that Z is using this noble crusade of cleansing the WSB as a cover to hide the dark secrets he doesn't want anyone to discover, particularly whatever truth he is concealing about Valentine Cassadine. Karli issued a fierce, uncompromising warning to Z, stay away from Jocelyn. She made it abundantly clear that her daughter would not become a pawn in whatever twisted game of chess Z was playing to restructure his agency. Jocelyn's life, her soul, and her future were not going to be sacrificed on the altar of the WSB's redemption. As the tension between them reached its absolute peak, the atmosphere in the room grew suffocating. The air was thick with unspoken threats and desperate maternal instinct. And right at that breaking point, Z played his masterstroke. He didn't argue. He didn't threaten Karli with arrest or intimidation. Instead, he offered her a secret deal, a proposition so perfectly calibrated to exploit Karli's deepest vulnerabilities that it left her entirely breathless. Z casually revealed that Jason Morgan is going to be coming home in the near future, and shortly after Jason's return, Valentine Cassadine will follow. The two men who have shaped so much of Karli's world, the two men whose freedoms have been hanging in the balance, are going to be released. It's possible that this was the most manipulative tactic Z could have ever deployed. He dangled the ultimate prize right in front of Karli's eyes, but in the world of the WSB, nothing is ever given freely. The condition for this miraculous smooth return of Jason and Valentine was devastatingly simple yet impossibly heavy. Karli must accept that Jocelyn will continue to serve under Z's command at the WSB. For Z, this wasn't just a negotiation. It was a long-term investment in the future of his agency. He was willing to trade the freedom of two highly dangerous, highly skilled men just to secure Jocelyn's loyalty to his cause. I keep wondering whether Karli fully comprehended the magnitude of the trap closing around her in that exact second. To get Jason back, to ensure Valentine's safety, she would have to surrender her daughter to the very darkness she had spent her life trying to protect her from. It is a Sophie's choice, wrapped in the bureaucratic red tape of international espionage. But just when it seemed the conversation could not become any more intense, Z offered a parting thought that fundamentally altered the landscape of this entire narrative. Before walking away, Z offered a cryptic, almost casual remark. He hinted that Jocelyn would soon be receiving a new assistant, a highly effective partner who would be instrumental in her upcoming missions. He didn't elaborate. He didn't provide a name, a background, or a timeline. He just left the words hanging in the air like a drop of poison in a glass of water. It doesn't seem accidental. A man like Z does not speak without purpose. Every syllable is calculated, designed to elicit a specific psychological response. When those words fully registered, a profound chill ran down Karli's spine. The implication was immediate, terrifying, and impossible to ignore. If Jason Morgan or Valentine Cassadine are truly going to be released in the near future, what exactly is the nature of their freedom? Will one of them be the new partner assigned to work alongside Jocelyn? Are they being released because they have been cleared of their alleged crimes? Or are they being released because Z has successfully recruited them into his new reformed WSB? What if we're missing something even bigger? What if Jason and Valentin aren't just being recruited now? What if they have already been pulled into the deep, dark machinery of the WSB, and this entire ordeal has just been a carefully orchestrated performance to keep that reality hidden? Jason has a long, complicated history of being utilized by the government when they need a lethal ghost to handle their dirty work. Valentin is a former mercenary with ties to the most dangerous intelligence networks on the planet. Both men possess the exact skill sets that a man like Z would find invaluable for his crusade to purge the corrupt elements of his agency. I can't shake the feeling that Z's promise of their return is not a gesture of goodwill, but a declaration of ownership. He isn't setting them free. He is merely transferring their leash from a holding cell to a covert operations desk. And by tying their release directly to Jocelyn's continued service, Z has effectively bound the fates of Jason, Valentin, and Jocelyn together under his absolute control. He is building his new generation of agents, and he is using the emotional leverage of their family ties to ensure their compliance. Carly is now left standing in the wreckage of this revelation, staring into an abyss that seems to have no bottom. She wanted answers about Valentin, and instead, she was handed a puzzle that threatens to consume everyone she loves. The WSB is not just a distant threat anymore. It has wrapped its tentacles around the very core of her family. Z's chilling hint about Jocelyn's new partner has ignited a fire within Carly, a desperate determination to uncover the absolute truth behind the fates of Valentin and Jason. She knows that whatever the WSB is planning, it is massive, it is dangerous, and it is already in motion. Something feels unfinished. The rescue on Spoon Island was supposed to be the end of the nightmare, but it is becoming increasingly clear that it was merely the prologue. The real war is just beginning, and it won't be fought with guns on a remote island. It will be fought in the shadows, in whispered deals, and in the silent, terrifying realization that the people you love might already belong to an organization that answers to no one. We are walking down a very dark corridor, and with every step, the shadows seem to grow longer. The story of Z, Jocelyn, Jason, and Valentin is far from over, and the truth waiting at the end of this journey might be more devastating than any of us are prepared for.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.